Fujifilm's dynamic range setting is a great way to handle contrast, and it's one of those settings that you may want to program into your custom settings or your film recipes. But that also begs the question, if I save it to one of my custom settings or one of my custom recipes, how does it work with my saved ISO? Because dynamic range requires a certain minimum ISO. So this was a question that has actually come up a couple of times so far, and I wanted to do a video addressing this, how ISO and dynamic range work with one another in regards to your saved custom settings. If you first want a primer on what dynamic range is and how it works with auto ISO, I've already done 2 videos about that you will find linked here. In this one, we're specifically going to go into how it's handled with your saved ISO settings and your saved dynamic range settings. Different generations of Fujifilm cameras have different requirements when it comes to what ISO you need in order to use the different dynamic range programs, and I'm not going to go into the weeds of all of the different generations. You can find out more about that in another video that I will link here. You can also find a short list in the video description. But let's assume for this video that you are using the X-Trans 5, the most recent sensor in Fujifilm X cameras, which include the X-T5, the X-E5, the X-T50, the X-100 and the X-H2. In these cameras, the lowest available native ISO is 125. You don't have dynamic range settings available to you if you're using the lowest possible ISO. If you want to use dynamic range 200 or dynamic range auto, where the camera chooses between 100, which is really off, and 200, then you need a minimum ISO of 250. If you want to use a dynamic range setting of 400, you need a minimum ISO of 500. So with all of that in mind, let's say that you want to program 2 custom settings. The first one uses a dynamic range setting of auto, so the camera is going to analyze the contrast in the scene and choose either off or DR200. The other custom setting, you want to use a dynamic range setting of 400. So you might use that program in high contrast scenes or whenever you just want flatter contrast. What you need to do first when you are creating these custom settings is set an ISO value that meets the minimum requirements for your desired dynamic range setting. So for that first program that uses a dynamic range setting of auto, your ISO needs to first be set to at least 250. For that other program that uses a dynamic range setting of 400, you first need to set a minimum ISO of 500. Or you could set an auto ISO program for both of these where the maximum ISO is at least meeting the minimum requirements for the dynamic range setting. Because if your ISO doesn't first meet those requirements, your desired dynamic range settings will be grayed out and unavailable. So if you see that, and that's the case, make sure you check your ISO. That ISO screen at the bottom can also give you hints in yellow. Like if you first set a dynamic range setting of 400 because your ISO setting allowed you to do that, and then you go back into your ISO menu and set a lower ISO, it'll show you in yellow that the highest available to you is either 200 or 100, depending on the selected ISO. And that's another trap that you could fall into. If your ISO setting is set to, let's say, auto, which allows you to choose any of the dynamic range settings, and you choose DR400, and then you go into the ISO setting menu, and you want to use the lowest possible ISO of 125, if you're not paying attention to the note on the bottom of the screen, that will actually override what is in your dynamic range setting menu and disable DR200 and DR400. So your dynamic range is going to be off, even though you had originally set it to 400. So changing that ISO later could also impact your dynamic range setting without you knowing it. So when programming, remember to set your ISO first, either to a manual ISO that's high enough for your desired dynamic range setting, or auto ISO, and then go into your image quality menu and set your dynamic range as desired and save that program. Now, when you're actually out photographing and you pull up one of these custom settings, it's going to load that saved ISO and that saved dynamic range. So if you saved DR Auto with an auto ISO program to your custom 1 setting, you have DR Auto available using auto ISO. Now you can change that ISO once that program is loaded. If you don't want to use auto, you can always go to a manual ISO, a lower ISO, but just be mindful that the dynamic range is going to follow those restrictions. If you later change your ISO to a manual ISO, it still has to be high enough to use the dynamic range that's saved. If you come out of auto ISO and you set a manual ISO of 125, you're not going to have auto available to you anymore. It's only going to use DR100 or off. Worse yet, if you have auto update custom setting enabled in the cameras that have that in the image quality setting menu, any change you make to your ISO is going to be permanently saved to that custom setting, and that will impact which dynamic range setting is available to you. So even though you may have saved DR400 to your custom 2, if you switch from auto ISO to a manual ISO of 160, now only DR100 is going to be available to you from now on in that custom setting, because now ISO 160 is the new permanent ISO for that custom setting until you change it again. So you may not even realize that DR400 is unavailable to you if you go out of that program and then back into it, because you have a new saved ISO setting. This is why I recommend that if you are going to use the dynamic range settings with your saved custom settings, with your film recipes, that you use auto ISO. This can become very convoluted really quick. It's really easy to lose track of all of this. So just use auto ISO, and then whatever dynamic range setting you have programmed to that custom recipe, that's always going to be available to you, so long as you're an auto ISO and it has a high enough maximum. If you have an XE5 or an XT30 Mark III that allow you to save additional custom film recipes on the film simulation dial, the same logic applies. You're not saving ISO values to these custom film recipes, but you are saving dynamic range settings if you want to use that. So if you want to use the dynamic range settings with your film recipes on those film simulation dials, you again need to make sure that your ISO is high enough in order to use that dynamic range. Now, that was with the latest generation of Fujifilm cameras, the cameras that allow you to save image quality, focus, and shooting settings to your custom settings. Well, what about the older cameras that don't allow you to save any of the focus or shooting settings, including the ISO? In those cases, you can save any dynamic range setting that you want to use, but when you pull up that custom setting, you need to make sure that your current ISO is going to be high enough to use that dynamic range that you have saved to that custom setting. Otherwise, it's going to be downgraded. If you had DR400 set in those older cameras that require a minimum ISO of 800, but your ISO is currently set to 320, you'll only have DR100 available to you even though DR400 was saved to that custom setting. And again, I'm not going to go through all of the different generations of cameras because they're all different. All you need to make sure of is that your current ISO is high enough to use whatever dynamic range setting you have saved to the custom setting you want to use. So I hope this gives you a better understanding of how a dynamic range and your ISO settings work with one another when they are saved to one of your custom recipes. If you want to learn even more about the Fujifilm system in general, including all of these image quality settings and how to create custom recipes, You can check out my Fujifilm tutorial courses at photocourses.link/Fujifilm, and you can save 20% on any of those courses using the code TUBE20. Please let me know if you have any other questions or comments. Subscribe for more great tips like this every week, and I hope to see you in the next video.